Plymouth sitting at just 3 degrees Celsius this morning, whilst Aberdeen enjoys a relatively mild 7 degrees. Yes, you heard that correctly. The southwest colder than the far north of Scotland. Is your area about to face the most unsettled weather pattern we've seen this season? Because right now, the Met Office has amber warnings covering 12 counties across England and Wales, affecting over 8 million people, and what is developing over the Atlantic could change everything for the weekend ahead. In the next 3 minutes, I'll tell you exactly when the heaviest rain arrives in London, Manchester, Birmingham, Glasgow, Cardiff, and Belfast. But first, drop your location in the comments right now, because tomorrow I'll be doing personalized forecasts for every city and county you mention, and trust me, you'll want to know what's coming specifically for your area. Right then, let us get straight to the timing. London, you're looking at rain beginning around 4 o'clock this afternoon, turning heavy by early evening, continuing through until Friday morning. Manchester, it arrives slightly earlier around 2 o'clock, with the worst of it between 6 and midnight tonight. Birmingham, similar story to London, starting late afternoon, heaviest overnight. Glasgow, you've got until early evening before the main band pushes through, but when it does, we are talking 50 to 70 millimeters in just 12 hours. Cardiff, rain begins mid-afternoon, persistent through the night, easing by dawn. Belfast, you are actually looking at the earliest arrival around midday today, with heavy bursts through to tomorrow morning. Now, here is what nobody's talking about. The Met Office model and the European model are currently showing two different scenarios for Saturday, and this 50-mile difference changes everything for the southeast. We'll have a clearer picture tomorrow morning. Currently across the UK, temperatures are rather unusual for late January. Newcastle at 5 degrees, Leeds at 4, Sheffield at 4. But that mild air across Scotland, Aberdeen at 7, Edinburgh at 6, that's all about to change. A cold front sweeping down from the north brings a completely different air mass by Friday evening. Brighton, Southampton, Dover, and Portsmouth, your main concern is rainfall combined with already saturated ground. Potential flooding issues in low-lying areas, with Environment Agency flood alerts likely upgraded to warnings by this evening. Oxford, Cambridge, and the surrounding areas, you are caught right on the boundary between the heaviest rain to the south and lighter precipitation to the north. Unfortunately, this is where the model uncertainty sits. The Met Office Unified Model keeps you drier, with 20 to 30 millimeters. The ECMWF has you wetter, with 40 to 50 millimeters. Tomorrow's forecast will narrow this down considerably. Let me clarify something about the weekend. Whilst Friday looks unpleasant across England and Wales, Saturday offers better weather for many areas. Scotland, you are looking at the opposite pattern. Friday relatively decent, but Saturday brings cold air and wintry showers, particularly across higher ground. Inverness and Aberdeen, by Saturday afternoon, sleet mixing with rain at lower levels, with snow above 300 metres. Fort William and the Western Highlands, proper snow by Saturday evening, 10 to 20 centimetres possible above 400 metres by Sunday morning. Now back to England. Nottingham, Leicester and Derby. Your timeline shows rain arriving around 5 o'clock this afternoon, heaviest between 8 o'clock and midnight, then gradually easing through Friday morning. Temperatures holding steady around 6 to 7 degrees through the period. Bristol and Exeter, you are in the firing line for heavy rainfall. 60 to 80 millimetres widely, with exposed hills potentially seeing over 100 millimetres. This is where the amber warning applies. Wait until you see what's coming for the Midlands. Coventry, Wolverhampton, Stoke-on-Trent. The main rain band clears Friday morning, but a secondary feature could bring another spell Friday afternoon. This isn't showing on all models yet. Liverpool and the Merseyside area, you are looking at rain from early afternoon today, turning heavy early evening, persisting through the night. The concern here is the combination with high tides. Coastal areas around the Wirral need to be particularly aware between 8 and 10 o'clock this evening. York, Hull and the East Coast, you are in a relatively sheltered position. Rain arrives later, around early evening, lighter than areas west, with 20 to 30 millimetres expected. By Saturday, a brisk northerly wind brings coastal showers. Blackpool, Southport and Lancashire coast. Similar timing to Liverpool, with gusty winds overnight, gusts of 70 to 80 kilometres per hour on exposed headlands. There's one location that concerns me more than any other for potential flooding, and that's Cumbria. Kendal, Keswick, Windermere, you are perfectly positioned to catch the maximum orographic enhancement as this Atlantic airflow hits the Lake District fells. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see localised totals exceeding 120 millimetres in the highest areas. Valleys will see less, but still substantial amounts. Let me correct myself on Scottish timing. Edinburgh and Glasgow, rain now arrives earlier than expected, around midday Friday rather than evening. Cardiff and South Wales, Swansea, Newport, the Valleys, you're all looking at a thoroughly wet 24 hours starting this afternoon. The rain Rain will be persistent rather than particularly intense, but it just keeps coming. 40 to 60 millimetres widely, with the Brecon beacons potentially seeing 70 to 80 millimetres across to Northern Ireland now. Belfast, I mentioned earlier, you are looking at midday arrival, but Derry and the North Coast, you're actually already seeing the first bands pushing in this morning. Rainfall totals want to be as extreme as parts of England and Wales, but still respectable at 30 to 40 millimetres through today and tonight. The Channel Islands, Jersey and Guernsey, seeing the heaviest rain now, peaking this afternoon, clearing by early evening. Then much better for the weekend whilst the mainland struggles. Isle of Wight, similar timing to Southampton, rain from late afternoon, heavy overnight, easing Friday morning. Now, here S, where the forecast gets really interesting for next week. Do check back tomorrow because the models are showing something rather unusual developing. Currently, there is disagreement about whether we see high pressure building from the south, bringing settled conditions, or another Atlantic low tracking in. This difference matters enormously, particularly for Scotland and Northern England. Bangor and North Wales, you are caught in that transition zone between the heavy rain further south and lighter amounts to the north. Current thinking suggests 30 to 40 millimetres, but this could easily shift 10 or 20 miles either way, making a significant difference. Penzance and the far southwest of Cornwall, the rain actually arrives earliest of anywhere in England, around 2 o'clock this afternoon, but it also clears earliest. By late Friday morning, you are into bright spells and showers. The Isles of Scilly already seeing rain this morning, clearing this evening. Bournemouth, Poole, and the Dorset coast, amber warning applies here too. 50 to 70 millimetres expected, with the additional concern of already high rivers from previous rainfall. The Stour particularly vulnerable. Milton Keynes, Luton, and the areas north of London, you are looking at rain arriving around 6 o'clock this evening, heaviest overnight between midnight and 4 o'clock Friday morning, then easing through the day. Not as extreme as further west, but still a good soaking with 30 to 40 millimetres likely. Reading, High Wycombe and the Thames Valley. Similar story to London, really. Rain from late afternoon, heavy overnight, improving Friday. The Thames has capacity issues at the moment, so further rainfall isn't ideal. Norwich, Ipswich, and East Anglia generally, you are in that drier zone I mentioned for the East Coast. Rain arrives Friday morning rather than Thursday evening, lighter in nature with 15 to 25 millimetres the expected range. Your bigger concern is Saturday when that northerly wind brings cold showers off the North Sea. But here is what nobody is talking about. The temperature profile behind this system is really quite something. By Saturday evening, single figures across the entire country. Aberdeen down to 1 degree, Edinburgh 2, Newcastle 3, with a biting northerly wind making it feel considerably colder, like opening a freezer door across the entire country. Sunday brings a different scenario. High pressure tries to build from the west, but there's uncertainty about timing. The Met Office has it arriving Sunday afternoon, bringing clearing skies. The European model keeps us in that cold northerly flow longer. Tomorrow S runs should clarify this. For weekend activities in Scotland, ski areas like Glenshee, Cairngorms and Nevis Range could see excellent conditions by Sunday if snow arrives as expected Saturday. But if the milder air hangs around longer, it's a rain not snow, which changes everything. Scarborough and North Yorkshire coast. Friday stays relatively dry, but Saturday sees North Sea showers. Temperatures around 4 to 5 degrees, feeling colder in the wind. Preston, Blackburn and East Lancashire, you are in a bit of a squeeze zone. Heavy rain this evening, clearing overnight, then a brief respite Friday morning before that secondary feature I mentioned potentially brings more rain Friday afternoon. This is still not certain, so do check back tomorrow. The Hebrides, Orkney and Shetland increasingly unsettled through Friday and Saturday. Strong winds, frequent heavy showers, wintry over higher ground. Temperatures struggling to reach 6 or 7 degrees. There's one thing to take away from this forecast. The next 48 hours are going to be thoroughly unsettled for most of the UK, but the regional variations are enormous. What London experiences is completely different to what Glasgow experiences, which is different again from Aberdeen or Belfast. This is why specific local forecasts matter and why tomorrow S update will be crucial. Hang on, let me check the latest wind speeds. Confirming coastal areas of Wales and southwest England could see gusts reaching 80 to 90 kilometres per hour overnight tonight on exposed headlands. Canterbury, Maidstone and Kent, you're in the firing line. 50 to 60 millimetres widely, with the North Downs potentially seeing 70. Flood concerns definitely justified. Cheltenham, Gloucester and the Cotswolds, moderate rainfall expected, 30 to 40 millimetres. Bath, similar to Bristol, heavy rain overnight, 60 to 70 millimeters likely. Right, at this 3-minute mark, I really do need to emphasize the importance of leaving your location in the comments. Tomorrow's forecast will be much more specific, and I genuinely want to make sure I cover your area in detail. The situation is evolving quickly, and what I am telling you now will need updating by tomorrow morning. Dundee and Angus Coast, rain arriving Friday lunchtime, turning to sleet by evening as colder air filters in. Temperatures dropping from 7 degrees to just 3 by Saturday morning. Stirling in the central belt caught between Friday's rain and Saturday's cold northerly, bringing wintry showers. The saving grace is that by Sunday evening, most areas should see improvements. High pressure building from the Atlantic, lighter winds, clearing skies. Monday looking considerably better, though northern Scotland might hang on to that cold northerly longer. There is another system developing in the Atlantic for early next week. Currently too far out for confidence, but definitely something to watch. Truro and mid-Cornwall. Heavy rain this afternoon and evening, clearing overnight. By Friday afternoon, bright spells and isolated showers. Weekend looks fairly reasonable. At this 12-minute mark, I am going to ask one final time for your location in the comments. I read every single one, and tomorrow's forecast will directly address as many as possible. The more specific you are, the better. Don't just say England. Tell me your town or city. Looking ahead, there are hints of something potentially significant midweek. The jet stream might buckle, allowing Arctic air south. Too early for confidence, snow, ice, and severe frost all possibilities. I'll cover this in detail as we get closer. The broader pattern suggests unsettled weather for at least another week. Atlantic systems queuing up, frequent rain or showers, temperatures around average or slightly below. For those of you with travel plans this weekend, Friday is definitely the day to avoid if you can. Roads will be wet and hazardous with spray and standing water likely. Saturday brings improvements for England and Wales, though Scotland and Northern Ireland stay unsettled. Sunday looks like the pick of the weekend for most areas, with lighter winds and clearer skies developing. One final note on those Scottish snow showers Saturday. They'll be most frequent during the afternoon and evening, affecting mainly northern and eastern areas. Glasgow and the west coast should see fewer showers and less snow, staying mostly as rain at lower levels. Edinburgh and the east coast will be more exposed to the northerly flow, so more frequent showers expected there, with snow to lower levels possible overnight Saturday. So, to sum up in a natural way, we're re-looking at a thoroughly wet 24 hours for most of England and Wales starting this afternoon, with some locations seeing significant rainfall totals that could lead to flooding. Scotland and Northern Ireland follow on Friday, with rain turning increasingly wintry Saturday, particularly over higher ground. The weekend offers some respite, particularly Sunday, when high pressure should bring drier, calmer conditions to most areas, but next week remains unsettled with further Atlantic systems likely. I'll be completely honest, there's still uncertainty in this forecast, particularly around the exact track of Friday's secondary feature and the weekend temperature profile. Small shifts in the position of these weather systems can make significant differences to local conditions. Tomorrow morning's model runs will be crucial, and I'll have a much clearer picture for you then. This is exactly why checking back daily is so important during active weather patterns like this. Here's what I can promise for tomorrow's forecast. I'll have updated rainfall totals based on the overnight model runs, clearer timing on the weekend cold air arrival, and hopefully some resolution on that potential Arctic blast for next week. The uncertainty should narrow considerably once we see how tonight's system actually develops. Plus, as I've mentioned, specific forecasts for every location UVE mentioned in the comments. If you haven't already, do drop your city or county in the comments section below. I genuinely want to make sure you have the information you need for your specific area. The weather across the UK varies so much that broad brush forecasts often miss crucial local details. Thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow morning with a full update. The forecast will be ready by 8 o'clock, covering all the latest developments and addressing your specific locations. Take care, stay safe, and